Mikel.
Hello.
After the euphoria of Wednesday night, were you able to celebrate and take it in?
Yeah, well, for a short period of time, yeah, it was a great evening. We had a lot of family and a lot of happy faces around the club, so it was a good moment. But immediately you have to switch it up, and now it's Ipswich and the Premier League.
What can a win like that do for the confidence and belief of this young team going forward?
Yeah, that we can compete in any context against any opposition, and now the next step is consistency. Do it in the Champions League at that level. Now we go to Ipswich against a really tough team and do it again.
And you mentioned about resetting. How hard is that for you to do in such a short space of time? Bottle that confidence, euphoria, belief, but also focus back on the league. And there's a lot still to play for.
Quite easy. Just review the Madrid game and immediately go to Ipswich and start to do all the preparation and start to watch the games. Again, we play against them and what we learned over the last few months since we played them. How can we hurt them, their qualities, and start to do all the preparation towards the game.
How are the injuries looking, Jorginho and Calafiori?
Yeah, Georgie is not going to be available yet. Still struggling with that incident. And Ricky as well probably is not going to be available.
How would you rate Jorginho's chances playing in that semi-final first leg?
That's probably a question for the doctor. It's quite a specific and difficult matter, so I will leave that to the club to make an update.
If he's not fit, and obviously Thomas Partey's suspended, what are you thinking in terms of that midfield?
A few options.
Are you going to have to think outside the box again, as we've seen you do this season?
We have a few options, and obviously we're not going to get anything away.
Will you be confident, presumably, given what you've done already this season, how your team has adapted, your players have adapted, if you had to move things around again?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but it depends on the players as well, if they are comfortable doing certain things and how we can maximize our qualities in relation to the game we expect against them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye from the Premier League.
Hi, Mikel.
Hi.
Ipswich, it was a tight game, wasn't it, back in December, 1-0 win for Arsenal. Obviously, they have to win to avoid being relegated this weekend. So how different of a game are you expecting based on the one that you played in December, and how different of a game are you expecting based on the game you just played against Real Madrid?
Yeah, I understand where they are at the moment, and they playing at home, and as you said, it's one of the few chances that they have. But for us, it's a big game. We need to start to win football matches in the Premier League to at least maintain the position that we are in, and to push into the last few games with some hope. And we know how tough it's going to be. They are a really well-organized team. I think what Kieran and the staff have done is remarkable, and you see every week how they perform and the amount of issues they give to opposition, so we expect a tough game.
Liam Delap has had a really good season. I think it's 12 Premier goals for him. How highly do you rate him as a forward player?
You know, I don't like to talk about any individuals of any opposition. As a team, they are very strong individually. They have players that can win you football matches. They've done it against big opponents, so we have to pay a lot of attention.
This weekend, the Premier League title could be wrapped up dependent on results in your game and obviously the Liverpool game as well. If that does happen this weekend, how important do the remainder of the Premier League games become for you, especially with the knock-on effect in terms of how your players perform in the Premier League then affects how they may well perform in that Champions League semi-final?
I'll make sure that we win the game and that doesn't happen.
And finally for me, I just wanted to ask about Declan Rice. Obviously, he's on 7 goals, 9 assists in all competitions this season. So that's the same as the whole of last season. How do you view him as a leader right now in your current group of players, and how much more of a leadership role do you think he could take on?
Well, he's earning more and more. I think performances like he had in this against Real Madrid, it just puts the player in a different dimension, and that's why we brought him here. That's why we demand him as well to take more steps and to be more decisive in games, because he can do it. We've been talking about it for the last few weeks, and to do it at this stage is not easy. He's done it 2 times in a row. Now he's maintaining that level of consistency, belief, and undoubtedly his role will be bigger and bigger.
Hi, Mikel. Just on the Champions League, I think sometimes there's a perception that it's better to have the second leg at home, but obviously against Real Madrid, first leg was at home, and I think, from my opinion, Arsenal really kind of set the tone. With the semi-finals, the first leg's also at home, so do you kind of view that as a similar thing you want to replicate? Because, I guess the neutrals probably would say it would be better to have the second leg.
Yeah, my preference has always been to play the second game at home, but it's what we have at the moment. So learn from it, see what the advantages and the opportunities where they are. I think if any of you watch any football yesterday on European nights, in the second leg is absolutely madness. You can go anywhere. So it's great to learn as well about these kind of scenarios and why these things happen, because it can be very useful for us.
And you said on the midfield you have a few options in your head. I was wondering, is Miles one of them? Because obviously we've spoken about him being a left back this year, but he's naturally a midfielder. So would the next few weeks be a good opportunity to give him some minutes in there?
It will be down to the availability of players in that moment. So who is available, who is able as well to do that, for how long in games, because as well we had players that they could not play 90 minutes. So once we are closer to that game, we can decide.
Tom, Football London.
Hi, Mikel.
Hi.
You mentioned you didn't really want to give it much away about how you might replace Partey. You've got these two Premier League games before that PSG match. How do you balance perhaps practicing maybe without Partey, but at the same time not giving too much away to PSG about what you might do?
As always, a balance, understanding what the priorities are. The priority is one or is another. And then as well, making sure that players are comfortable and feeling the position that they have to play such a big match. But as I said, the priority now is to win games in the Premier League.
And just bringing it back to the Premier League, the gap between yourselves and now third has closed up with Newcastle winning their 2 games in hand. Has that played on your mind something consciously with the last 2 games being draws and trying to get back that winning momentum?
Yes, for sure, because obviously we were in a much better position, but the last 2 draws have significantly changed that perspective, and as well credit to Newcastle for the form that they are in and the way they've been playing as well. So we need to step up and start to win the games.
James, yes, again.
Hi, Mikel. Thomas Partey's out of contract this summer. Has there been any progress over you did?
Yeah, there is progress with all the players. I leave that to Andrea and the club to decide and to talk about.
So the intention is to keep him?
The intention is very clear. I leave that to Andrea and the club to take steps forwards.
Just on Ipswich, obviously they're not relegated yet, but it does look like for the second season in a row, all 3 promoted teams who came up are going to go straight back down. Just wondered what you thought that says about the Premier League, if anything.
I mean, the level, the difficulty of staying in this league and as well. But I mean, whatever happens, the way those 3 teams have performed and have created a lot of issues to any of the other teams tells you the level and the steps that everybody has to take, because next season will be harder for sure.
Part of it, Gary Neville was talking about this, talking about how part of it is these teams want to play out from the back. They want to kind of imitate the sort of Pep Guardiola style, as if Guardiola's sort of impact on the league as a whole has a kind of negative side as well as a positive. I just wonder what you thought about that.
Nothing, I haven't reflected on that, so.
Okay, Simon, Standard.
Mikel, can I just check with Jorginho that it's the rib issue that you had from that
Yeah.
game? And with Ricky, are you more hopeful he might be back for that PSG first leg?
If everything goes well, I think so. Maybe a little bit earlier. So let's see. He's on the pitch already. He's doing quite a lot of stuff, and we just need to make the right steps now to make sure that when he's back, he's in a good place to perform.
Can I just ask you about Andrea coming in? Obviously, when we spoke to you before, you were sort of very clear on what you wanted to do this summer. I just wonder, has he coming in sort of changed plans at all? I'm sure he's got ideas about different players. What's his sort of impact been on what you want to do this summer? Has it changed much with Andrea? Right?
Yeah, those things already were discussed with him, but yes, I hope that he has many more ideas, planned surprises, positive ones, and use as well his experience, his creativity, his intuition as well to help us make the right calls.
Is that a benefit sometimes, getting a fresh voice and a different outlook on the market from what you maybe had in January?
Yeah, I take it as an opportunity. Somebody else comes in with different ideas, different methods, different ways of working, and other priorities as well in the way that they work. And I think this makes us better.
Okay, finally, the live section, Phil Pierre.
Hi, Mikel.
Hi.
I know you spoke about Kai recently, but do you think, in terms of him returning, there's an outside chance he'll be available for the semi-finals?
Semi-finals? I think that's too close. But if I have to bet on him earlier than expected, I would say yes. The way he works every day is in that gym, pushing everybody. I don't think you can hold him much longer.
and obviously Arsenal getting through to the semi-finals this week's put the sort of club back on the map. But personally, for you, does it feel as though it's sort of elevating your own profile that you're now in the sort of mix as the top managers in Europe?
No, I think it was a night. I mean, for the club that it was great, and that's it. And the best ones are still ahead and to come. And we are all have a big ambition and big objectives, and we are in the right direction. But the next step are going to be tough, and we're going to have to be at our best.